G'day you lot, how's it going? Welcome back to Stimming With Story, and today we are covering another sketchbook. I've been procrastinating this one for ages, but not long enough for the back of the sketchbook to fall off, so there's something at least. Also, I'm sorry for the bad and inconsistent lighting. The filming took place over several days and at different times, and I was using a combination of sunlight and a desk lamp, so it wasn't really ideal. When I started, I didn't really have any ideas, other than I wanted to do something with my favourite colour. After that, I got inspired by the sketchbook cover that my friend did, and also decided to include some of my current hyperfixations. I have a bunch of paint swatches that I've been collecting for arts and crafts projects, and I had a good amount of purple, so I figured that was a good start. I learned a few things from the last sketchbook cover video, and I've made some changes to my method. I changed the kind of glue I used this time. Last time I used a simple PVA glue, and while that worked and was very easy to apply, it didn't really stay adhered to the sketchbook surface for very long. The sketchbook was bendy and had a weird texture, and the glue just came off once it dried. Thankfully, the sticky tape kept it in place, but it wasn't the best outcome. I tried to re-glue it later with a stronger glue that I had, but it just made the markers bleed, and that's how we ended up with melting mauve. To try and combat this time I used a thin grip sandpaper to score the surface so that the glue hopefully has better grip. I also did some research and came to the conclusion that fabric glue might work better for the purposes. It's designed to stay adhered to surfaces that bend and move, and can be used in crafting. As you can see, I started with the idea to do a web page window, but then realised that the way I wanted to do it would require a thicker paper, so I left that idea alone and started with my second idea. I picked a few purplish Pokemon that I really like, and looked up some reference photos, and then got to work drawing stickers. I started with the Pokemon stuff, and then I went for some little purple Splatoon guys. I wasn't really sure what I wanted per se, so I had to redraw some stuff and gave up on some ideas entirely. Of course, I had to add Dr. Marv somewhere, because what am I supposed to do? The theme is literally purple. All through this project, I kept getting random ideas, so later on you might notice some random new drawings appearing in between video clips, because I just had like a little extra idea and I didn't want to have to like put my phone up and click record and do all that stuff again. Then I printed out some more pictures to use. These ones were actually digitized versions of drawings that I've done in the past, because I liked them. I thought they fit the idea of the sketchbook, so I just sort of took photos of them and then I like redid them digitally. I went back to the webpage idea at this point, and I used a page from my sketchbook because it's slightly tougher. I drew the top and bottom parts and measured them out, but then I realised I didn't actually know what I wanted to do beyond the initial inspiration. I kind of wanted to draw myself in there and mucked around with that idea, but I wasn't happy with it, so I started messing around and drew some planets. Then I decided just to go full space, because I think that looks cool, and add myself poking my head into the frame. I messed with like a few ideas, but was struggling to get the face right. Ultimately, I settled into the idea and ended up with me being trapped in the void, which I think is pretty funny personally. I was going for the idea of me climbing out of the frame, but when I went for the more distressed expression, I thought it would work better with a fist banging against the fourth wall.
Michael! Don't leave me here! Michael! Michael! Help me!
I wanted to add a Rayquaza or Deoxys in the background, because, you know, Pokemon, but I couldn't actually draw anything that small that looked good. Those Pokemon are pretty complicated, and so I ended up scrapping that idea, although I'm kind of still salty about it. I think I should have kept going. Then it was cutting time. This kinda sucked, and my hands started cramping at one point. It was nice seeing all the pictures cut out and neatly stacked, but the getting there was unpleasant. Also, around this time I also messed around with my markers on some spare paper, and I did some extra sections that I could use for the purple background later on. I have a lot of footage from this section, and I kind of think it's fun to watch, so I'm gonna just talk unscripted about my favourite Pokemon. Feel free to skip to the timestamp on screen if you want to see the next part, because I won't blame you in the slightest. Alright, time for said Pokemon ramble. Please ignore any unimportant background sounds because I'm currently doing laps of the living room. Alright, first, I don't have one favourite Pokemon. I have multiple because I've got several that I just can't point to one over the other because I love them all for different reasons. Yeah, I'm just going to sort of go over them one by one. I've got like 5 or 6 of them. Anyway, yeah. Probably the first one I'm going to go over is Arceus. The Pokemon God dude. Partly because just design is banging. Definitely gives regal celestial entity, just like the rest of the creation trio. But that's not actually the reason, like the main reason I like it so much. I like it because when I was younger, I was gifted a copy of the manga, Arceus and the Jewel of Life. I really enjoyed it. It just, like, the way, like, drew and portrayed Arceus was really cool. I loved the artwork. It was one of the first Pokemon mangas that I got, so it was, like, one of my favorites. And then they made a movie out of it, so I watched the movie, obviously, and, like, I can't explain it if you haven't seen the movie, but the English version of the movie, the voice actor for Arceus was going so hard. Like, oh my goodness. And, like, just, it brought the pages to life in such a beautiful way. The animation was, like, really nice, like, on par with the normal Pokemon movie. Arceus, the way they animated it was so cool. Its voice was just, amazing. Like, they were going way too hard for the character, and it worked so well. And I just, like, it really brought to life the compelling story, of the manga, and so I always really enjoyed it. And then, actually, the reason it's sort of up near the top of my list of favourites is, because I've always liked it, and, the last, like, year or so, I played Pokemon Legends Arceus, which is still my favourite Pokemon game. Like, oh my goodness, that's what Pokemon should be. It was amazing, and I still play it, but I completed it, and I decided to draw, Palkia, Dialga, Giratina. I didn't actually draw Giratina, and Arceus, and then I went on a bit of a kick drawing them. I gave them, like, human forms, which, like, try to interpret their designs into a more humanoid shape, which was really fun. And, one thing led to another. I got really attached to Arceus. I made this whole, like, cursed story about, Arceus showing up in another dimension and just vibing. It was really fun, and I did a lot of art of it, and so I even bought an Arceus, like, figure to put together, but I haven't done that because I haven't had the time, and I don't have the space for it. But yeah, I really like Arceus. Second, the next one I really like, Cyndaquil, one of the Johto starters, because, like, just, oh my goodness, have you seen it? It's just, like, it's such a simple design, but it's so just, like, so Pokemon, and it's just like it's a little fire echidna, and it's so cute. And that's another reason I was really happy for Legends Arceus, because one of the starters I could pick was Cyndaquil, and because I've never played Gold or Silver or Heart Gold or Soul Silver, because that was a little bit before I was gifted my first Pokemon game, so I never actually got to play them. But I remember seeing Quilava, its evolution, in Pokemon anime, and I just remember I loved it. Like, it was so cute. I loved the way it was animated and designed, and the way it was treated in the anime. And I also remember I could not pronounce its name for the life of me. I kept calling it Koala instead of Quilava. And so that was kind of memorable. Typhlosion's kind of whatever. He's, again, very simple. The earlier Pokemon designs were often very simple, but just Cyndaquil is just peak Pokemon, and it's so cute. I just love it because it's so cute. What would I say would be next? Oh, yeah, Esper. Little psychic type baby fluffy thing. Esper, I love Esper very much. Just, its design's really cute. It's like a little bug-eyed creature that kind of looks like it's about to die of a brain hemorrhage every 5 seconds. And, I like the color scheme. I like purple. It's like a really nice sort of muted purple. Its shiny is pink, and it's got a really cool looking shiny. I'm not usually particularly partial to pink, but Esper Shiny is awesome. When I first played Pokemon X, I ended up catching an Esper, and it stayed on my team for the entire playthrough. It evolved into male Meowstic, and it was like the backbone of my team. It hit really hard with Psychic type moves, but because it's got like a very versatile move pool with TMs and stuff, I taught it Thunderbolt. Couldn't hit the hardest, but it definitely covered my electric type weakness, because I didn't, the way my team was set up, I didn't have room for an electric type. So it really sort of like helped me out there, and it just has a really cute design. The way it attacks is awesome. I love Meowstic, but I think I like Esper more, just because, you know how I was talking about getting carried away and making like a story with Arceus chilling in another dimension. There was an Esper character in there as well. And so I also drew a lot of Espers, and I developed my own style of drawing it, and just Esper is a cool Pokemon. Alright, another one I really like. This one is for a very different reason, not aesthetics at all, not appearances. Crobat. I really love Crobat. And Zubat's okay. The middle guy, he's got a big mouth, but Crobat is just, I love it. I didn't even know Crobat existed for the longest time, because I never, you go into a cave, there's Zubats everywhere, they're more of a nuisance, you wouldn't think to use them. But a few years ago, I actually tried to do a Nuzlocke of, I think it was a Pokemon Platinum, like a cartridge Pokemon Platinum that I had, and I wanted to do a Nuzlocke because I was inspired, I think, around that time, that's when Jaden Animations was doing her, like, Nuzlockes, and then she animated them, and it was really cool. So I was like, oh, I'm inspired, I want to try doing a Nuzlocke. So it was my first Nuzlocke, and, like a smart person, I'm in a game in Sinnoh where there's like 3 fire types, and I immediately lose my starter at the first gym because I picked Chimchar, and yeah, just immediately lost my starter, which kind of sucked a lot. I don't know why I decided I'd bring it into the rock type gym, but there we go. So I lost my Chimchar, which I was pretty bummed about, and so I went. So like, if you know that part of the game, there's like to continue on, there's like a section of pasture, and then there's a cave you got to go through. And I go into the cave, and the first encounter I get in that cave is a Zubat, of course. So I catch it because, I need something. And I was like, oh, what am I going to name it? Coconut. And then, because I had a space in my team, so I put Coconut in there and decided I'll just keep it at the front, to catch, like, as a buffer to try and protect the rest of my team. And, and I don't know, but it just grew on me so fast. It evolved really quickly because of friendship, because I was using it all the time. I basically took out the entire grass-type gym with my Crobat. And, like, I don't think I ever finished that Nuzlocke, but I got the furthest in the game I ever had, and that Pokemon was the backbone of the entire thing, because Crobat is awesome. It's fast, it can learn a variety of moves, it can learn a bunch of poison moves, a bunch of flying moves, it can learn some dark and ghost type moves. It's really useful and versatile. You can just have one Crobat and cover a bunch of your bases, so you're free to have more Pokemon without having to cover type advantage bases. And, like, I don't know, Crobat is just amazing. So every game I play from that point on, if it had Zubat in it, I would catch a Zubat and I would name it Coconut 2.0 or 3.0, depending on what it is. Which is why I'm really annoyed that the last few more modern games, Sword and Shield, Scarlet and Violet, didn't have Zubat. They brought, to be fair, Scarlet and Violet in the DLC, they brought Espers, which I was really happy about. But no Zubats, and I think I'm the only person complaining that there's no Zubats. But I really I need Coconut 4.0. I need a Coconut 4.0. It's please give me a Zubat. I want a Zubat. Okay, another one. Good old common one. Evolutions. I've always liked the whole Eevee line. They're just really cute. They're really popular. Really cool. Sylveon is the poster child for fairy types. You know, there's like a lot of love for the evolutions. My favourite is Jolteon. And again, this is another kind of Crobat situation. I never really thought I'd like Jolteon. I always was more erred onto the side of Espeon because I love the design. But I ended up using Jolteon through a playthrough accidentally, I think in Pokemon Moon, because you get given an egg which has an Eevee in it, and I'm like, I'm going to use that. And it ended up, I was trying to evolve it into an Espeon, but it evolved into a Jolteon. It was like the backbone of the team. It was like, it was definitely one of the weakest out of my whole team by the end of that game, but it definitely covered its own terrain well. It hit really hard with its electric attacks, and just, yeah, all around a really good, reliable member of the team. I love its design, especially its 3D model. It's so cute. It's like champing at the bit to get going, and it's spiky, and it's just really cute. And so it doesn't have it's not like the most appealing design to me out of all of the evolutions, but it's definitely my favourite because I have emotions attached to it. Another one, Zorua. It's also kind of a common favourite. The reason I like it, partially, it's got a neat design. Hisuian Zorua, love the design. Absolutely sick and amazing. And also, Hisuian Zorua has the normal and ghost typing, which is actually the same typing as a fake mon that I made ages ago. I should probably redraw it and actually show it on the channel, called Schrodegast. But I just thought that was cool. But both Zorua and Zoroark just have sick designs. Like, really cool. And the main reason I like it is partially I did have I played through a game with it and really liked it. I think Moon was it. I had a Zorua on my team. But the main reason is I watched the Zoroark movie, which was really cool. It had a Zorua and a Zoroark. The Zoroark could talk, which some Pokemon just can. It was a telepathy type talking. That was a really cool movie. It had like time travel and Celebi and stuff like that. And Zoroark is cool, and Zorua is adorable. And I have several different characters that are Zorua, because Zorua are cool, and the fact that they can transform and like take the illusions and look like people and other things, it just gives a lot of variety. Like, shapeshifters are a really cool idea of a character, and so that's why I really like Zorua. And I'd say my last one in my slot of favourites would have to be Snom, the little ice buggy thing, because like, look at it for like a minute, like it's just peak design. I like Snom and Joltik, which is the little electric bug, which is also really cute. But Snom particular, when Snom was like revealed to be a Pokemon before the release of I can't remember if it was released like shown to be a Pokemon before the release of Sword and Shield or afterwards, but when it was like first shown to be a Pokemon, I was hyped. I just saw this little squishy gremlin tiny thing and I was like, yes, my child. I played through that game so fast just so I could find the area that had Snom in it so I could catch one. I drew them everywhere. I have sketchbooks full of drawings of Snom. I've got, I think a present my mum made me. I've got like special jewelry and necklace hangers that are Snom that my mum made for me because I was so obsessed with the little cute Pokemon creature. I put a Snom on my when I was going to like specialized schooling. I had my room labeled with a Snom with a knife. It's just like a really solid little design. It's so cute. If Pokemon were real, I would have one. I would hold it in my palm and I would give it kisses goodnight every night. The closest I can get to having a Snom in real life is my stick insects, so I give their enclosure a kiss goodnight every night because they're too small to do that to them, but like, just, Okay, so now it's glue time. I messed around and arranged what I could to try and work out what looked good. Coming from someone who has chronic fashion blindness that extends into design blindness, I think it turned out pretty well. This is the fabric glue, and let me tell you, I was not expecting it to be this hard to get out. I was struggling so much to get it out of the tube, and it apparently dries super fast, so I barely had time to spread it on before it started getting tacky. This was not a fun process, and I took probably twice as long as the last time. I couldn't use a brush to apply it because it dries so quickly, and then when I tried to get it out of the brush I did try to use, I nearly couldn't because this stuff is flexible. At least, it's a good sign for the cover at least it does what it says on the box. The only good thing was that because it dried so fast, I didn't have to worry about accidentally dislodging any of the already glued pieces after like about a minute. Once everything was glued, I busted out my five total paint pens and messed around. I was kind of over the process by this point because the thing I had my phone attached to film was getting in the way, and I was stressed because I couldn't lean into the frame. When I draw, I tend to curl into what I'm doing and end up kind of looking like a sloth. So having to actually have good posture and not being able to constantly move the sketchbook around really threw me off. It probably has something to do with my bad eyesight. Despite that, I think the sketchy scribbles and shapes look pretty cool. Also, you might have noticed that I accidentally broke my gold paint pen, but it's still usable, so it's fine. Doesn't matter. Now, the time comes for the final step, covering the cover to protect it from wear and tear. Last time I used wide clear Scotch tape, and I was pretty happy with the result. It held together way better than I expected, and hasn't peeled once. I was actually originally planning on using it again, but my mum convinced me to try using contact instead. Contact paper is, if you didn't know, a thin vinyl sheet with a sticky side, kind of like sticky tape. It's basically a big rolled up sheet of sticky tape. It's waterproof and can come in a bunch of colours and patterns, but it can also be transparent, which is the one I used. This was not easy to use, even after my mum gave me a demonstration. I asked for her expertise because she used to use contact a lot. When we were kids, she used to cover our school books with patterned contact. I felt like the coolest kid in my grade because no one else had cool books. I never had to write my name on the front because all the students and teachers knew that I was the one with the cool books. I felt like a celebrity. The roll was super curly, so I cut the contact to size before I started filming because it was so ungainly. As you can see, I was struggling, but I finally got the hang of it and it went on beautifully. I'm really happy with how it turned out, but honestly, I think I'd prefer to use the sticky tape method. It's easier and I like the look and feel more. I think next time I cover a sketchbook, I'm going to go back to using the Scotch tape. And that's it! That is the second sketchbook cover done. I really liked how this turned out, and I can't wait to see how durable this one ends up being. If this fabric glue doesn't work, I'm just going to go back to the PVA and just make sure that the sticky tape is properly secured, because, you know. So, what did you think? Did you like the design? Was the video better fully voiced, or did you prefer little to no talking like the first one? What's your favourite Pokemon? What other kinds of videos would you like to see in Stimming With Story? Thanks for coming along and watching my video, even though it's vastly different from my usual content. See you later, ladies, gentlemen, and honoured extraterrestrials, and enjoy the rest of your day.